that season 6, which I do have in physical copy, is that beginning arc, which is incredible with Fives and him discovering the whole thing behind the chips that are implanted in their brains. That was incredible. And they had the Jedi Masters Tipley and Tiplar. That was a high, like you said, some of the different ebbs and flows of that particular season. But yes, just visualizing a full season 6 with all those arcs that you mentioned, like ending it with that Yoda arc, which is just, I watched again just a little bit ago, is just incredible. There's no question. And like you said, when you go through the episode guide for this particular episode, it does say that these actual episodes do come before the Bad Batch, but the way they aired these here, these 12 episodes, they're doing it as the second arc. Now, this. I tweeted out to Jason Fry begging him to update the episode guide that he did the first 5 seasons. It would be great to see him put together season 6, which is not in there. It's not in the episode guide, or this season. And maybe even, reshuffle this and show the chronological order where these actually do come before the Bad Batch arc. But he did respond. It was neat. And he said he's already been thinking about it and is really hoping that DK and Lucasfilm ask him to do the update. And I really hope that happens.
Well, I really hope so too, because I think it would be a great resource for fans, new and old, of the Clone Wars. It would make a great thing. I really wish we'd get one for Rebels and Resistance as well. We really need books like that, especially going with these series, especially once they're over. There's no reason not to have that type of resource available. And that's something I'd really like to see. But with that, with the line of thinking and everything, that's how I went into this episode, with not looking at this as the final season, not to go in with the mentality that this is the final season of the Clone Wars, not going in with the mentality that this is the second arc out of 3. They were on the second of 3 arcs and it's over. And just going in with the mentality of this is another episode of Clone Wars in this season, and try to get rid of any preconceived notion and everything. And I enjoyed that. It made me enjoy the episode a lot more. And honestly, it made me enjoy the last episode a lot more too when I rewatched it. So, I mean, it definitely, I think the stigma of this being the final season is what has killed it for us. Killed it for me initially. So hopefully this is something that we can see going forward. Because it really did change my opinion of Gone with a Trace. And it made me enjoy No Deal a lot more, or Deal No Deal a lot more. So.
Well, what I think right there, after you said that, and I hope our listeners get this, that I will very much grant you an honorary PhD, an honorary doctorate, because that was very much Star Wars therapy for me. I hope it was for the listeners, to give us perspective on this particular arc and to enjoy it more. And so I thought you did a great job with that, my friend.
All right, so I'm going to change my name on the site to be Dr. Aaron.
That's right.
Just give me a Dr. Pepper and I'll be happy. Caramast.
Groaner.
All right. Well, let's look at let's get out of theory and views and everything, and let's talk deal, no deal. Okay. It opens immediately with Trace and Ahsoka working on the spaceship. Now, what jumped out at me in this at this opening scene was not the fact they're working on the spaceship. It was the music being played at that point. And to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, David, because this is how it sounded to me. It sounded to me like it was a riff of Rey's theme.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah, a little bit more of that, and I love it. That theme, Ray's theme. I am trying to learn from you to pay attention to the music more. I do at times listening for different particular themes. Um, but yeah, I do agree with you. It seems like it's just hinted at there.
Mm. It kind of it did, and I mean, Rey, of course, being the scavenger from this sequel trilogy, excuse me. We often saw her working on parts, and she worked on BB-8, and she worked on the Falcon. You know, we see her in that fixing things thing, and that's pretty much what they're doing to the Silver Angel. But it had that da 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 da
Mhm.
feel, and I enjoyed that. I liked it. Um, and also too, when we got to Kessel, when they first come out of hyperspace to Kessel, and you see the that lit lane in the middle of the mall that they have to fly through to get to the planet Kessel. To me, again, correct me if I'm wrong. I've listened to it a couple times, and I'm not as familiar with the solo soundtrack as I am some of the others. But I think we got a little flash of the solo soundtrack in there too. Mainly the mall, the piece written for that mall trip. Um, did you
Yeah,
catch that?
I to be honest, I didn't. I something I need to do because, like you and I have talked, I do listen to some other podcasts, and I hear different people, and you do it too. Is bring up a lot of the different themes and stuff, and I just I need to set I need to get talk about buy something. I need to buy all the soundtracks. I just haven't done that, and I just need to sit and listen to them, look at the titles of all of them, and really just close my eyes and just listen. Um, I've learned, like when you and I went to see the premiere of The Rise of Skywalker back in December down at Disney Springs. And then after that, I know that you talked about listening to the soundtrack on the way there. And I haven't done that as much, and I need to be more of a connoisseur, so I can pick up on a little bit more of that.
Well, I can definitely understand that. I respect that. I trust me, and I understand. Not everybody has my love of music. And what's funny is I'm probably the most musically inept person on the planet. I can't play an instrument or carry a tune to save my life, but I love the soundtracks and just that behind the scenes emotional music that they play through movies. And I'm able to, for some reason, I just love it. I can't get enough of it. I like it. I love it. I'm going to stop singing and torturing you people. Y'all going to start tuning out. But, they are, I they just, the music jumps out at me, especially in, in, in certain scenes. There's just ways you're just sitting there and all of a sudden, bam, I'll be all into it. And all of a sudden out of nowhere, bam, the music will just hit me and I'll just lose all track of what's going on in the movie. Um, you know, and it's not just Star Wars. Lord of the Rings did that to me. Pirates of the Caribbean did that to me. Yeah, you wouldn't think Pirates of the Caribbean would, but the soundtrack to that movie is absolutely spectacular. Um, but there's a lot of great music out there. And I mean, and I love how, especially getting back on topic here, how Kevin Kiner will sit there and he has no problem grabbing from the works of John Williams and what's come afterwards and incorporating it in. And I love that. Now, I'll be the first to admit I do not have all the Star Wars soundtracks. I know, pick your jaw up off the ground. Shocking, shocking. I'm the one that talks about the music, and I don't have all the soundtracks. I have access to all the soundtracks thanks to Amazon Music Unlimited, which has all of them available for me to listen to. But I got the original trilogy soundtracks. I got the sequel soundtracks. I got Solo and Rogue One. I don't have any of the prequel soundtracks.
Okay.
Mainly because when the prequels were being released, that was in my dark time of being a fan. I wasn't a huge Star Wars fan at that time. Still loved music and everything, and listened to it a ton. But it wasn't enough for me to go out and. I saw the movies in theaters, but it wasn't a priority for me to go snag the soundtracks.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, I was just going to ask you in what form you have them. Do you have them on CDs? I've seen those.
I'll post pictures of the ones I have. They're all on CD. They're all on CD.
Okay. Okay.
I think the Return of the New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. I have that special book edition of the that they released when they initially released the special edition. Came with a basically it looks like a book, and it has 2 CDs in it, and you can flip through it. Beautiful, beautiful pieces. But then I got just a copy of Return of the Jedi because I could never find the special edition one like that of Return of the Jedi. Then of course the prequels are just the special edition ones that they released with when the movies came out, and it's just a basic copy of Rogue One and Solo, and a lot of that's because it took me a while to get into the Rogue One soundtrack.
Yeah, no doubt.
Story for another time.
Yeah.
That's a topic we should write down for later. Let's talk soundtracks. But yeah, no, it's. Yeah, we'll lose David for that episode, but
well, no, I was going to say David W. Collins will want to come in and set us straight.
Oh man, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. We'll have to see what we can do for that. Anyway, refocus to deal no deal. I could get sidetracked on soundtracks. So quickly.
Well, and in all these episodes, there's different sidetracks we can take. All the Bad Batch episodes, there's a lot of different things to talk about on each of these episodes. Not just the actual plot of the actual episode. There's so much stuff. Yeah.
Well, there's a ton of stuff. There's especially this particular episode has a lot of connections to other series or other movies or a ton of stuff. Like the cockpit of the Silver Angel. Did it look familiar, David?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I spent 4 years in that cockpit wishing I was flying that thing, but Hera wouldn't let me touch it. Yeah. That was the cockpit for the Silver Angel had been repurposed into the Ghost for Star Wars Rebels. That was a design they actually had back that they had for the Clone Wars. It got axed when the show got canceled, so they just repurposed the design for the Ghost. Added some seats. There's some slight variations to it, but you sit there and you look at it. It's the Ghost. I loved it.
I was expecting to see Chopper in there.
Oh man, I'd have lost my mind. I'd have lost my ever-loving mind. Well, I mean, at this point of the Clone Wars, he's already been shot down. He's already in the care of a young Hera.
Yeah.
Because he got shot. His Y-wing was shot down over Ryloth several seasons ago. At this point, so
yeah.
Other connections that this episode, Deal No Deal, has is, of course, like I mentioned when we were talking soundtracks, is Kessel. We have the big mall around Kessel, the lighted path to go fly